We always open our meetings with public input. Because there's a few new people here, we ask that you please hold your comments to 3 minutes if possible. If you can, come up to the mic, state your name. You can state your address if you wish. And let us know what you're thinking. So, Brian, who do we have first?
First is Joanne.
I'm Joanne Jasinski. I've been a lifelong resident of Wheatfield on Shawnee Road. I have a few questions for the town board regarding the proposed cell tower on Shawnee Hill. Okay. First, we'd like to know, regarding the proposed cell tower on Shawnee Hill, isn't this a conflict with the glide pattern for the Niagara Falls Airport, as well as the Air Force Base and Homeland Security? We are directly in the flight path and have grave concerns about this interrupting signals for the planes. Secondly, has the FAA responded to your site study request? And thirdly, which one of the 4 proposed cell towers may possibly be rejected as stated in the Buffalo newspaper? Thank you for listening.
I'll try to answer you as best I can. The cell tower on Shawnee Road is actually a planning board action at this point. This would be on a private piece of property, so it's strictly being handled by the planning board. The planning board itself has asked several questions having to do with that. I was at the meetings, and they have asked, one of the gentlemen who's on the planning board is a member of NIMAC, and NIMAC is very interested in keeping the base here in Niagara County. And that was a concern that was mentioned. I believe the planning board asked them to go and talk to, I think his name is Mr. Clark from the NFTA. I don't know if that's happened yet because it has not come back to planning. The other 3 towers, or 4 towers as it were, are a proposal brought to the town board because they're hoping to use town land to put cell towers on. Individually and as a group, we took a look at those cell towers. We've had a presentation here and discussed the locations in question. One is sort of onerous. The other 3 are at least potential. They do not meet with our law. 3 out of the 4 do not actually meet with our law where they intend to put it. They would require variances. So we've got a long way to go on before anything's approved there. If anybody wants to see the locations or what the tower's proposals are, I'd be very happy to share that with you. Thank you for the question. Brian?
Hi.
Howdy.
My name is Ian Zimrose. I've lived in the town of Wheatfield all my life. I have a question regarding the tower, once again. I would like to know why there is a code law set up in the town's law books, and it's code number 200-116, and it says the visibility and aesthetics for neighboring properties should be taken into consideration so that no tower should be over 100 feet in residential areas. The proposed tower will be 199 feet. How do you justify that?
Well, again, that's a planning board action that would not be coming to the board's attention.
Mm-hmm.
The planning board would have to make that decision. That's a question might be better asked of them. We can certainly mention it. I know that it was, again, brought up at the planning board meeting. I don't see anybody here in the room from the planning board.
Okay. Also, is there a plan for notifying adjoining property owners and neighbors?
Again, that would be a planning board question. I don't think it's required. The whole tower would be on private property. One of the questions that came up is, can we move it? Can it be put into a different area? And I don't think that's been responded to yet either.
Well, it would concern me gravely because of the fact that we own the property adjoining to it.
Do you?
So we would like to see what is going to be done.
Another question I have is it a wise choice to disturb the serenity of the landscape at the highest point in Niagara County?
Okay. Again, it's a planning board question. Yeah. It's a good question. This may not be the best place to ask.
Okay,
We can make sure the questions get to them.
okay, thank you.
You can also ask the same, planning board meetings are just as open as this meeting is.
And when do
So
they
y-
take place?
It would be on the website, it's the first and third Wednesdays? First and third Wednesdays.
And you're allowed to put your input into it?
You certainly are, yes, at the discretion of the chair.
Hmm.
Tim would have been at that same meeting, so you may be able to get some better answers from Tim.
Okay,
He was at the table, I'm only in the background listening.
okay. And I would like to thank you for Mr. Sigmund doing my road on Moyer Road. Doing a
There you
good
go.
job. Thanks.
Are you aware of where that tower was proposed, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah,
Down on Fickleshire's farm?
yeah. We have adjoining property on the hill right next to it.
Okay.
Next is Deborah Fidel and Kelly Luger.
Amy, Kelly.
Hello. Hi.
Debbie?
My name is Deborah Fidel, and this is Kelly Duger. We both reside on Kruger Road. At this time, we would like to thank the Wheatfield Town Board for taking positive actions to move forward with making our roads safer for residents and pedestrians. We appreciate that our concerns have been heard, as actions such as increased sheriff patrols, new speed limit signage, and freshly painted median and shoulder lines are significant in our mission to increase safety for pedestrians, bikers, and drivers. On June 22nd, 2015, due to the town board's approval, we are anticipating that the drainage ditch where Ryan Fisher lost his life will soon be taken care of by installing drain pipes and then covered with stone. This in turn will provide a temporary area where pedestrians can avoid traffic, as the shoulder on Kruger Road is very narrow. On July 13th, 2015, the Wheatfield Town Board approved Wendell Engineering Firm to complete plans that would provide a cost estimate of installing sidewalks on one side of Kruger Road. This report needs to be compiled and provided to Bernie Rotella, the town's grant writer, before January of 2016, as this is when Mr. Rotella would be applying for the grant. At this time, we are asking if the engineering firm of Wendell has begun estimation work towards the sidewalk Kruger Road project.
Okay. I can assure you they've begun. Tim can probably give you that answer when it's his turn to speak.
Okay. We know that there are many large Wendell engineering projects that exist in Wheatfield right now. We are concerned that this small job will not take priority over these, but work is being started.
They're actually out, starting the field mission this week.
Oh, great, okay. And thank you for the update, and we are hoping that the compiled estimate plans will be ready for Mr. Rotella in a timely manner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Sandpiper Court. Reason why I'm here is I have some concerns going on right now. It's not in the town of Wheatfield, but it's going to be in the town of Pendleton. National Fuel Gas is proposing one of the alternative sites now is on Killian Road, either by the gun club or
You're
the
talking
farmland.
about the compressor.
The
right?
compressor. I know it's not in Wheatfield, but it's a mile away from the border.
Is it confirmed? Because I was addressing that with National Fuel Gas just 2 days ago, and I received an email back this morning from Patrick Kelly, who's the Government Affairs Representative for National Fuel, and he said, Councilman Helway, good to hear from you. I cannot confirm the rumor. We have not signed an agreement with any landowner at any location at the proposed compressor station site. And I was asking him, because I heard the same rumors that Killian was.
Right.
And if they're going to move it there, they're bringing it closer to Wheatfield, and not only are they going to have Pendleton people up in arms, they're going to have a whole bunch of Wheatfield people yelling
Well, that's
too.
why I'm trying to bring it to your attention. This is what was going on last week, is what I got wind of it, and I talked to the supervisor on Saturday regarding it. But at the same time, I have a major concern. I mean, we already got the Frontier Chemical plant right on town line. This thing's going to be going 24/7. You're going to have, worried about the vibration, the noise, the odor. I mean, we need a full impact study, and I hope that this board gets involved with the town of Pendleton if that's going to happen, because it's right on the border.
We'll be involved. I've been to every meeting, and I've, kept the board
It just
informed.
seems that National Fuel Gas is, I can't speak for them, is trying to sneak everything through. I mean, one of the other alternative sites I think would be more feasible is by Transit Road by that airport. It's more of an industrial, there's no residents. I mean, this site would impact over 300 residents plus.
Unfortunately, I think the decision's going to be made in Washington, D.C. with the FERC Commission. National Fuel, they're going to find a site, but they still need FERC approval. And I think they still have to have hearings on where their final locations are, because we don't even know where the dehydration facility is going to be. They have 3 sites. I think their preferred site, I think, is off Liberty Drive now, where it used to be south of Indicon, but they haven't officially, I don't think, have they, Supervisor Cliff, officially designated a site?
I don't believe they've ever made it public.
And you're lucky Pendleton has at least had 2 public hearings. Wheatfield hasn't had none, and I've complained to...
I mean, I went to the one at Wendellville Fire Hall because it's not that far. Their first site was Aiken and Beech Ridge. I believe you were there. I did see you there. But as you remember, that fire hall was packed.
Oh, there was 300 people inside, and there's another 100 and some people outside.
But I just want to make sure that the board's aware of what's going on and
We appreciate that.
and hope, you guys are there for us.
We did get a note from the folks in Pendleton who are, I'll use the term up in arms, who are very upset about this compressor. So we're all pretty aware of what's going on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Brando?
Hello.
Yeah.
This is probably not too important, but we are senior citizens and we dance at the senior center. Now, we have been closed for quite a while because they were repairing it and it does look beautiful. We were sent a letter that I would be responsible for any marks on the floor or any damages done. Last week when we walked in, it was our first week back, there was coffee on the floor and there were marks on the floor. So I went in the office and I said, would you please come and look? We just got here, some of the girls were here, the marks were here when they came in. She said, we have cameras, I'll check our cameras. So a little while later she did walk in. And one of the girls that belongs to the senior center there was there the day before to a meeting. And she said they were in there having coffee and drinking donuts. Drinking coffee and having donuts. And so maybe that's where it came from, because it was there when we came in. She said, well, again, I'll check my cameras. Then we have been told that senior line dancers are lawyers. And I was not alone. These people were with me when we were told this. We were wondering if they just don't want us there anymore. There's 20 to 30, maybe a little more that come every week. We enjoy it thoroughly. I teach at Cheektowaga, Tonawanda, Amherst, and Wheatfield, and Lancaster. I did teach it. And never have we been treated like this. The letter that I received, not too nice of a letter. I don't know why they're treating us like this. If they don't want us, just tell us. But I don't know. We don't know where to go with this, and we enjoy it.
Mike, do you want to respond?
I mean, that you're definitely welcome in the building. I'm not sure the conversation you
Mike,
had.
can you come to the microphone?
Sure. Who did you have the conversation with?
Pardon
Who
me?
did you speak to?
Gail.
Gail? Yeah, I haven't had that conversation with Gail about allegedly being
Well,
called
every
liars.
week
Like,
is
I don't-
something different, and it's not. We don't mind being told things, but tell us nicely. Don't call us liars.
Well, I
mean,
can't speak
and
on
tell
that.
us nicely. Maybe she doesn't want us there. I don't know.
I guess the only thing I can comment on is the message of the letter. It was recommended through the contractor that did the work. It was two things. One was the temperature in the room. He recommended just keeping it a constant temperature because each group was recommending it was either too hot or too cold, so the temperature was going up and down all the time. He said just keep it flat. That way it doesn't assist any mold growing in the building, because that's what was happening. The other thing was the shoes. The heeled shoes were leaving scuff marks. Those were the two things.
Well, no other people are in there with shoes on but us?
Not dancing. No.
Well, it doesn't have
Well,
to
he
be
certainly
dancing.
is.
I mean, you could, most of us wear dance shoes. Most of us. I would say 90%.
Right, and we haven't had
And
a
now
problem.
the two that didn't are wearing dance shoes. So the marks did not come from us.
Okay, I'm just not sure, like, what the problem is at this point.
It seems
She was just being rude?
she's very rude, and
Okay.
it seems like she's...
Well, we can handle that on our end.
We're afraid she's gonna be, ended up closing the senior center down, because she seems to not want people there using the facilities. Okay, one fast incident. They do fill a pitcher of water for us, the girls that work in the kitchen. We were there an hour and a half, we take a break. The seniors get warm, dancing, they take a glass of water. One week they weren't there. One of the girls went in and filled the pitcher with water and got the little tiny cups that they give us. She come out and told the girl that she could be arrested. She was on camera. That's stealing. Those were her exact words.
Okay.
I think you need to have a conversation, perhaps with the young lady and Gail together.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that to our
Thank
attention.
you for listening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I have the couple questions, my usual. I'll just read through the questions and you can answer. I'd like to know if there was a decision from Judge Caruso. Also like to know if there was a response from Ag and Markets to Steve Ricka's letter. And then the second thing, or the third thing I wanted to bring up is since the violation that Quasar had last September with the illegal methane and hydrogen sulfide leak, I was reading through some documents that we foiled for, and the solution that they had for that was to run the flare on propane to keep the flare going, because the quality of the methane became so poor it didn't ignite the flare. So every week I come, or every time I come to the meeting, I've asked, have they approached you about modifying the plant? And the answer's always been no. Technically, running the plant, or running that flare off propane, is a modification of the plant. And so I think that we need to pull our attorney, Steve Ricka, in and talk about that, or have him address it with them, because when the plant was set up, it was set up to run that flare off methane. It's running off propane because of the incident. So I think that this has been a modification, and in our law, it says any modifications have to come directly to you, as you're all aware. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I think that this is significant, and this is how they do business. They do what they want. Ask for permission and forgiveness, or ask for forgiveness later. So I just want that addressed. So
The documents that you have that show that it was gone from the methane, the natural methane, to a propane flare.
Mm-hmm.
Can we have a copy of that?
Yep.
Because I'll send that to Steve.
You have it. I got it from you guys. So
Well, maybe the attorney has it, I don't.
well, we have access to the lockbox through the FOIL, or the Dropbox, not the lockbox. The Dropbox, and it's in there.
Okay, I don't know how to use that.
Okay.
But if we can get that, then I'll send that to Steve and ask that question.
Okay,
so that
he would know
get
of
his
it.
opinion.
Ag and Markets?
The answer from Ag and Markets is we've heard nothing further, and the answer from the others, we've heard nothing further.
Okay, may I just ask, do we have another new attorney?
This is a gentleman, this is Abraham Platt, who is an associate of Matt Brooks.
Oh, welcome to
Matt is
Wheatfield.
elsewhere this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Evening.
Good evening. I'm Kim Lemieux. I'm a resident of Pendleton and a member of the Pendleton Action Team. I just want to say thank you so much for the gentleman who came out in regard to the compressor station. And I would ask that the town board here in Wheatfield to really consider joining with the town board of Pendleton We are certainly trying to rise against this Goliath in our town, and it's going to be affecting your town as well. Not only in the compressor with their proposed locations as alternate sites, but also with the pipeline increasing from 16 inches to 24-inch high-pressure pipeline. We do know that Nottingwood over in Timberlake subdivision had previously had an explosion, if you will, and I know that they are fighting to get that pipeline removed. I do request that the town board work with us collectively in some sort of partnership, along with the Niagara County Legislature, who has already passed a resolution to ask for an EA, which is an environmental assessment on all compressor stations and pipelines. We do, well, I should say, Pendleton really would like to have an EIS, which is an environmental impact study, on the compressor stations and the pipelines specifically, so that we can really look at the long-term impact on our residents, specifically our children and our elderly, who are a little bit more prone to some of the respiratory illnesses and cancers that come through, such as leukemia and cancer of all sorts. So we do ask that you can band with us and help us fight this compressor. Our town board, as you may know, I know you came out to our one meeting, has been 100% behind us and working collectively with the Pendleton Action Team to rise against.
Okay. Thank you. We did not have time enough to get anything together for this week. I think I got the copy somewhere around Thursday, maybe Friday, of, it was about 2/3 of a page. I talked to Mr. Mascaro Saturday morning, so I didn't know enough about what was going on with Pendleton.
Are you saying that FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, did not notify you of the pipeline and the compressor?
We knew about the meetings, and Larry has gone to the meetings at there. So we were aware of some of what was going on, but being in Pendleton, I was not really on top of it, and I was certainly not aware that it was moving closer to Wheatfield.
So you were unaware of the Wheatfield alternate locations, one at Radio Towers and the other one along Fritz, or I should say Loveland?
For the compressor?
Yes.
No, that never came to my attention.
Okay.
For the gas dryer, yes, we're somewhat aware of alternate locations.
Yeah, we are. The only location that Pendleton has heard is Liberty Drive. Mostly because what we have heard about, I'm sorry to be over time, about the Air Force giving a memorandum of understanding that they could not locate the dehydrator at the end of a runway.
Yeah, I don't think it was the Air Force. I don't think the Air Force has the authority to do that. I think it was actually NIMAC.
NIMAC, wow.
That did that on behalf of the Air Base.
Right, right.
And we also sent them to talk to Mr. Clark again, who's the NFTA. Mm-hmm. To make sure that it fit the federal requirements.
Okay.
Were residents in Pendleton actually sent letters of the public hearing, or was it just the town board in Pendleton?
There were very few residents who actually were sent letters in regard to the original FERC disclosure about the project. FERC maintains that they notified residents within a half mile. We disagree. It was more of a quarter mile. And what we do know from Karen Merkel, who is another PR representative from National Fuel right now, is that they don't necessarily have a site planned. They haven't been able to tell us, but we do expect one quite possibly in the near future. But they're still continuing their EA, their environmental assessment, on the original proposed site.
Now, Nottingwood off of Shawnee, you know, both sides in Concord, those houses and those neighbors weren't notified at all. Maybe they didn't notify them because there's an existing pipeline and it's not new construction, but they're going to be doing a lift and lay, taking out 16-inch and putting 24. And then the folks out in Burkholtz that abut the Endicon, I don't think some of the people found out about it through some of the news articles, but I don't think anybody was really notified.
Correct. I have a neighbor who lives directly across the street from me. They were notified, but I was not. I own two locations in the town of Pendleton, and I was not notified at either one of those residents, even though both of them are considered in the noise-sensitive area on their environmental noise area study. So I was still not notified. I can say it was very spotty in terms of who they notified from our own research with the Pendleton Action Team.
They call their project Northern Access 2016, which means they want to start building in 16. So We have to
Yeah.
keep, we have to, if, you know, we have to keep our fight active if we're gonna be successful.
Correct.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have no say, we have no purview over the pipeline itself. We will have some say when it comes to the site plan for anything that's built on the ground.
Our concern with the pipeline is that they might seek an additional easement,
Could be.
space, and some of those homes, specifically that I can speak of are behind, like, the Fritz area, which is Hill and Fritz. Those people have already been surveyed. They've signed documents to be surveyed. They haven't signed, agreements yet, but they have been surveyed. Many of the locations have been surveyed.
One thing I might suggest, I'm sure Larry would concur, if you had somebody who wishes to keep in touch with Larry, he's on top of this project a great deal. He would be the best person here to converse with if there's anything coming up, any meetings coming up that we should participate in.
I invite all of you and all the residents of Wheatfield to our next meeting held at the Wendellville Fire Hall. It is September 2nd. It is a Wednesday, and it's at 7 o'clock p.m. It is a panel discussion, question and answer for all residents who may just be learning about the project itself and may need some information. We don't have all the answers, but we certainly have
So
some.
it's next Wednesday.
Right, the
September
2nd.
2nd.
And I think very key is to keep your federal, senators and congressmen, and I know Schumer, Gillibrand, and Chris, was it, who's their congressman again?
Chris Lee.
Chris Lee, that's what I was gonna say. They're all on board, but we have to keep the letter writing campaign to those three gentlemen, or the two gentlemen and one lady, so that they know that.
Excuse me, it's Chris Collins.
Chris Collins, I was
I thought it
gonna
was
say.
Chris Collins.
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, we do know Chris Collins is pro-fracking, so he's pointless. But Senator Schumer's office will be at our meeting.
Good.
We expect Gillibrand's office and Ray Walter's office will have somebody there as well.
So
And I'm
next-
sure legislator Nemi will be there.
Next Wednesday at 7.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian? Is there anybody else who did not sign up who wishes to present to the board? Okay, if not, then we'll move on. The next item, Kathy, for the record, there are 4 board members present. Councilman Gerbeck is excused for medical reasons. We do have a set of minutes for August 10th, 2015 Town Board meeting. Would anybody wish to move those in for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gil, second by Larry. Anything you wish to change, hold, or modify? If not, then all in favor of approving these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That's approved. We do have a bill pay. The bill pay is $269,801.29 total. The actual voucher numbers are 2015, 1558 through 1644. Does somebody want to move these in for payment?
So moved.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Larry. Any bills you wish to hold or discuss? All in favor of paying these bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Paul Sigmund, Highway? What's going on with Highway?
Hopefully the road will be done for road paving, from where roads west, we're doing the one south side of it, and we're finishing up. We'll still be out patching, I know this place, people call, still be doing hot patching after that, we have a lot of drain work to continue on, and pipe jobs. We will be having a drainage meeting this Wednesday at 7:30 at the highway department.
Wednesday, the 26th?
Yeah. I believe we're gonna get a little bit of a brief update on the drainage study that's going on.
So Dave's going to be there?
Yes.
You had asked about, at the last meeting, you had asked us to approve expenditures for DIs, for concrete drains and roadways. I can't remember the exact number. You were going to do some looking to see if you could find another price on that. What's the results on that?
I went to 2 other companies with the proposal. I asked them to get back to me as soon as they can, because I'd like to get something started towards the end of the year. I want the concrete done for 3, so, and I didn't get any response from them. I will call them again to make sure, but we have one bid, As long as, if that's the only bid I get, I'd like to be able to go with that bid, to be able to keep up with other stuff.
How late, can we wait and still get it done this year?
Well, you know, we're in September now, I mean, and they have to schedule that stuff themselves too.
You did say that the price was the same as last year's price, and you've tried to get 3 or 4, 5 other
5
companies
bids.
to bid. The price is the same as last year. You seem comfortable with that number?
Yeah.
I mean,
Did get the bid last year, and when I called him, he said, he was keeping the price the same. That was his bid. We went out, we tried to get 2 other bids, they didn't respond. I went, total of 5 bids, and only 1 person responded. It's not a very, it's not a very easy job, it's kind of a job. I think that may be one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to be involved in it.
I would be fine making a motion unless you want to wait till later to let him, do we need a motion to let him?
We probably need
Well-
the actual amount of money. Do you remember the actual amount of money?
$9.75 per receiver, not to exceed 10.
Not to exceed 10 receivers, so $97.50 total. Is that your motion?
That would be my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Larry. Anything further on the question? All in favor of approving this purchase, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, you can go ahead and place your order. Anything else, Paul?
No, that's it for right now.
Okay, thank you. Rich, water sewer?
I'd like to thank Councilman Retzloff for pointing out a water leak for us last Saturday. Driving down Lockport Road where they're doing a construction near Ward Road, came across some water coming out of the ground where it wasn't supposed to be, so we did get notified of that and sent a crew up to make the repair. Guys did do quite a bit of work on Saturday. We had that rainfall that impacted the area on the south end of town, up by Niagara Falls Boulevard, Town Line Road, Crescent Drive. We did have some issues with a couple of our pump stations up there. The stations were pumping out as much as they could, but they couldn't keep up with the amount of rain that happened. We must have had a few manholes get flooded over, and as a result, we had some guys out there with extra pumps trying to help them out. We're just about finished with servicing the grinder tanks for the year. I've had 1 crew out doing fire hydrants already. As time permits here, we're gonna get 2 and possibly 3 crews out, so we get through all the fire hydrants in town this year yet to service.
Okay, very good. Anything for Rich? Thank you. Mike Rinaldi?
Hello there. Want to thank everybody that came out to the picnic yesterday. We had, we planned all year for one day, and the one thing that we can't control, the weather, was perfect. So, we lucked out again this year. It's 3 years running. We've had good weather. Really happy the way things turned out. Our car show seems to be growing year by year. We're going to have to make a little more space. I think next year we had to be like 125 cars, right?
Right.
I think last year we had like 80 or 90, so doing something right. I don't know what, but I want to thank the board first for actually allowing us to put on a picnic like this, showcase the town, highlight some key groups, some influential people that make things happen. The committee that actually puts it together, Nancy Rosie, Don D., Will Bush, Jim Hoyer, Melissa Heidelberger, Sharon D. Pasquale, Mike Zarbo, and Jim Donner. We meet once a month starting the middle of September, straight on through the picnic. Everybody's got their own role to make things happen. It's a good group. It's a driven group. We're always looking for volunteers, so if anybody's got fresh ideas and things like that. I do want to actually apologize for one thing that was brought to my attention. I sent the guys out last week to paint the stage and the dance floor, and one of my summer help guys, he's an art student in college, so he came back and painted the stage floor the American flag. So I thought it was fresh, cool, a good idea, and a bit disrespectful by having people on there juggling and dancing, and so that's my bad. I dropped the ball on that. I apologize. There was no intent to disrespect anybody. There was a couple of people that were upset, rightfully so, and that's on me. We already painted it back to its original red color today, so that won't happen again. I guess other than that, we're going to roll out a new program next door at the youth center. We got ourselves a new preschool program. It's just going to be 1 day a week on Saturday mornings, 9 to 12, 4-year-olds, got to be potty trained, but we're going to start something new. It's one of the biggest things and biggest age groups that I keep getting people asking me to start a new program for, so we're going to give it a try and see where it goes from there. Other than that, that's all I got.
That picnic was fabulous. The biggest problem we had was parking. There were so many people there. They were parking way down the street, all the way down to the school, all the way through the park, everywhere we could put a car. Thank goodness the weather was so good that the land could hold it. There was one young lady who drove into a ditch and got stuck. Unfortunately, we were not in a position to be able to help her, but she did get, I guess, AAA to pull her out.
She took it a lot better than I would have.
Everything was fabulous. The people, the kids' games, the climbing wall, the dunk tank. There was all the birds of prey, the other animals. There was a dromedary, ponies riding.
Mm-hmm.
There was an awful lot for everybody to do, and they did it from noon until 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then it slowed down a lot after 4. But it was a great day. It's Wheatfield's best day, and Mike, you have an awful lot to do with it. And that picnic committee, they're all volunteers, folks. They all do that out of the kindness of their heart, and it was just a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Anything else?
Mike Clark is not here this evening, but Bridget is. And nothing exciting in the assessor's area? We did get the official notification on our rating. Maybe you could explain what that means to the residents. We're at a 0.6. In a nutshell, yeah. No, the rating is at 0.65 now, meaning that we are assessing our homes at 0.65% of the value of the home according to somebody. Who is it who makes that decision? Okay. Now, basically what that means is if a house is worth $100,000, it's assessed at 65, and it's compared with a house in other towns that might be worth $100,000 at full value. And that's why the rates are different when it comes to school tax. So that's basically how it affects you, is the rates are higher for Wheatfield for school tax because our assessments are lower. It's a leveling tool. Okay, thank you. Arlene is not here, correct? So we move on to Wendell. Tim? There was a question asked before. Did we answer that?
I believe I answered the question about the
estimate for Kruger Road?
yes, that they're getting started taking their field measurements this week. Okay. As far as the cell towers, we just had the one site plan that came in front of the planning board, and that was only a sketch plan, and the planning board, as Supervisor Cliff said, asked a slew of questions, a lot of references to the NFTA and the base, and have not seen them come back to the planning board yet. And that leads to the only item on our agenda this evening, and that is our summary from the one planning board meeting that we had in August, which was on August 5th. And we had 4 items on that agenda, the first one being a sketch plan for shed sales. The applicant proposes to display and sell sheds as an accessory business on the existing lot located at 3930 Niagara Falls Boulevard. That's the Scottish Inns Motel, right across the street from the other project that we've had on the agenda recently. The applicant was advised of several items and issues to review prior to their next submittal, including providing proof of permission from the property owner in compliance with the site plan guidelines and requirements set forth in the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District. The project would also require a special use permit. No action was required or taken. The next item was a site plan, which is called DePaul Wheatfield. The applicant at this site proposes to construct a 60-unit, 3-story apartment building at 7230 Williams Road. The building would contain 56 one-room apartments and 4 two-bedroom apartments, with associated parking, landscaping, and other site amenities. Again, several items were discussed which will require resolution, including concerns about only one means of egress for the multiple buildings that are at that location. The planning board declared lead agency status and began a coordinated review under seeker. No other action was taken. The next item on the agenda was a sketch plan for what's called Bridges Chiropractic. The applicant proposes to repurpose the existing house at 2783 Niagara Falls Boulevard into a business. The proposed business would provide specialized chiropractic and alternative health care treatment options, including spinal decompression, medical massage, and acupuncture. The applicant was advised of several items and issues, again, to review prior to their next submittal. No action was required or taken. The last item on the agenda is another sketch plan, and that's for what's called the Gateway Center of Western New York. The applicant proposes to construct a 50,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building on Indicon Drive. This is on basically the west side of the industrial park along the railroad tracks. The proposed building would be used as a storage warehouse for medical supplies, specifically first aid kits. The applicant was advised of several things to review prior to their next submittal, which would be their formal site plan. No action, again, was required or taken. And those are the items for the planning board for August.
Thank you, Tim. Anything for Wendell? If nothing for Wendell, then thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to...
The apartment complex on Willis Road?
Yes.
Is that going to be low income?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Thank you. Well, and I brought, so I didn't mistake what I was going to say tonight. If asked about that, I have a handout that they gave to the planning board, and it says they're a non-for-profit. However, they do pay communities pilots, the payment in lieu of taxes.
So they'll pay one shot and then they'll be taxed.
I'm not sure what the details are, but.
Okay, then the second question is on the gateway project that you just mentioned in Indicon Village. Will they be paying tax property taxes?
There will be a pilot on that as well. That's an IDA project. A pilot means that they're paying for their services. It means they're paying for the non-tax things. They would be paying a percentage of school tax. I think it usually starts at 20%, but I'm not familiar with this specifically. It's more than a storage, it's putting things together, but it is storage as well, yeah. It's product coming down here and going out in a slightly different form. I think they talked 18, if I remember, 18 jobs, permanent jobs.
I do not recall specifically the number of jobs.
I would never trust my memory, but I think it was 18. Thank you, Tim. We'll move on to regular motions. Abe, can you read through those?
Certainly. The first motion is to approve amendments to the 2015 General Fund and Highway Fund budgets to provide for the use of casino revenue from Niagara County, to provide the additional budgetary appropriation for the emergency repairs at the community center, and for the increase in the snow removal revenue from Niagara County, to provide additional budgetary appropriations for the purchase of salt due to a price increase from the supplier as submitted.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Gil. Second by Larry. These are items that were requested by our budget director, Edward Mongold. Basically, it's a place to put the additional monies received this year, the unanticipated casino money, where it could best be used. Does anybody have any further questions? Anything on the question? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion is to approve the following 2015 budget transfers for the general fund as submitted.
I'll go ahead and make this motion.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Again, it's moving money from one place to another to be able to pay off, it's a rather substantial repair bill on the community center. It looks terrific. It'll be good for many years to come. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion is to approve a determination that the proposed enactment of the proposed signage law revisions will not adversely affect the natural resources of the state and/or the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and is consistent with the social and economic considerations, and to issue the attached seeker negative declaration, and further to authorize the supervisor to sign the environmental assessment form.
Okay, since I'm signing, I don't want to make the motion. Does anybody else wish to make a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Randy, second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion is to enact a local law to amend Chapter 200 entitled Zoning, Section 200, by replacing Sections 200-67 and 200-67.1 with the attached revisions revised to new sections.
There was one minor change that came up today. Let's state that publicly, and then we have to make sure it happens.
With regard to the sign law, proposed 200-67B states the zoning Board of Appeals can issue a special use permit for signs in certain cases. However, the ZBA does not issue any special use permits. Those permits are issued by the Planning Board, and as such, it's recommended this section of the new sign law direct that the Planning Board will issue the sign special use permits instead of the ZBA.
Okay, so with that change, I'll go ahead and make this motion to modify our sign law. But we need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. I'd like to make a comment at this point, too. There's been a major decision by the Supreme Court recently, I believe it was just in June. It talks an awful lot about signs. It basically eliminates the allowance of reading a sign in order to determine what category it might fit into. So we can still restrict signs for safety. We should be stating why we're restricting signs. Can we put them on the right-of-way, or can we not put them on the town's right-of-way, or the state's right-of-way, or somebody else's right-of-way? We have taken a look at this portion of the law that we're making changes to, and we don't think that there's any conflict there, so I think we can make these changes. There are other items in our law, such as a definition of political signs. Supreme Court would not, under this decision, the Supreme Court would not allow us to enforce, I guess would be the right word, decisions based upon political signs. A political sign is a sign. Most of them are temporary signs, so they would have to meet the rules of temporary signs, just as a garage sale would, just as a sign saying, turn here. That's a section of law we're still going to have to take another hard look at and probably do some more changes down the road. So we have a motion, we have a second. Does anybody have any further comment or question? If not, then all in favor of making these changes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Ground Effects, who had the lowest qualified bid of $15,900 to provide landscaping at Town Hall as per the town specifications.
Randy, before the meeting, you were talking about this, and you were thinking it would be best to hold this off and put some more thought into it?
Yeah. That was my thought, to start from the building, working out with the stairs and everything. And I hate to see them build a wall and then in a year or so be busting concrete and no wall, you know. So I think there's a little bit more to it than just a small wall. However, I would like to see some work, somehow get some work done with the landscaping around the town hall. I don't know how it, but as far as this motion, I'd like to hold off personally.
Okay. one of the good things is that the parks now are getting close to being closed. And hopefully we can get some more help from them over here and get some of that taken care of. With Randy's comment, is there anybody that still wishes to proceed with this motion?
Do we need a motion to reject all bids?
Abe?
I would certainly propose a motion to authorize supervisor to reject all the bids as to landscaping at the town hall and to authorize the town to resubmit its landscaping specifications for rebidding.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to reject all bids. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all bids have been rejected. Back to the drawing board, Mike.
The next motion is to approve the Recreation Department to hire Karen Rafter as the ladies' exercise instructor according to the job specifications.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion is to approve the Recreation Department to hire Melissa Durfee as the Zumba instructor according to the job specifications.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second.
I guess I heard Randy first. Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor of hiring Melissa?
Aye.
Aye.
What day are they gonna be done?
Pardon?
What time of the day are they gonna have to exercise?
Mike? Is this ladies only, or is this mixed now? When Zumba first came up, it was ladies only. I'm not gonna tell you no. Did you get that AED fixed over there before I said it? Okay, do we have anything more for this
We
evening?
do have the two additions.
Did we get a vote on that?
Did we get a vote on that? Maybe not. Let's go back, gentlemen, to the question on Melissa Durfee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. If we didn't, we do. So, go ahead, Abe.
The next motion, I believe, is to approve the interim job specifications for the position of Human Resource and Director of Personnel as presented.
Do I have that? I don't think I got that. Do you have a copy? Okay, I know that this was sent around by email, and I think it's exactly what I was looking for. I'm not sure if it's what everybody's looking for. Do we want to proceed with this? Do we need to go into executive session before we do proceed? Anybody? If nobody wants to take any action, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the interim job specs. Do we have a second? Do we have a second, gentlemen? Okay, we have a lack of a second. So I guess that waits.
I'll second it.
Okay, hang on.
Wait, did we get on the question then?
Okay, Gil, was that a second? Okay, Larry?
This is on, I think then this is civil service has approved these specs.
It's basic civil service specs for the position for which we made the hiring.
And this will be a testable position, so they'll be issuing a test for this then too?
I believe that civil service will be putting a test out, I don't know when. It is a probationary appointment until this happens. Probationary is not the right word for it.
Provisional attempt.
Professional appointments, here. Anything further on the question? All in favor of approving these specs signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that is approved. Anything else?
I believe the last motion is to allow a Mr. Dan Schrader of 6421 Ward Road to apply for a fence height variance at no cost, waiving the town's standard variance fee due to the construction of a solar array on the edge of his property, which was properly allowed under the current town ordinance, but which may become disallowed or discouraged to be constructed when said array adversely affects neighboring property by possible new legislation by the town currently under consideration.
Okay, this was a gentleman and his wife who came to talk to us at the last meeting. Their neighbor put up a solar collection system. It's a standalone, and it does flash into their house. They can, when the sun's in the right direction, it actually flashes to their deck and their house. And it's bothersome to them, but a normal 6-foot fence is not sufficient. We don't have the purview of giving him the right to put up a bigger fence. That's up to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We do have the right to waive the fee that it costs in order to do that. So, gentlemen, if anybody wishes to make that motion to waive the fee, this is the time.
No, we do, have we not asked the planning board to give us some recommended language to address this issue going forward, because we're anticipating we're going to have more of these types of construction because of the new plant they built in Southtown?
Probably a lot more, yeah. Yes, we have asked the planning board, have challenged them with that. I don't know that they've actually accepted the responsibility yet. Our town attorney has taken a look at another town that has a law specific to solar panels, and if you read through that law, which was just given to us today, but if you do read through that law, it would not have made much of a difference in this case. It's suggesting greenery in between, but it doesn't require it.
I know our building inspector's not here, but another question I had was the building permit issued properly? Did it fit? I know, I think he was calling it a
accessory structure. Our town attorney has looked at that, and he believes that it was the proper use. Basically, we have no rules stating what can and can't be done as far as solar arrays, solar panels. Most of them you think are on the top of a house or the top of a barn, but this is a standalone unit in the backyard. So it's unusual, but it's probably not going to be the only one. I will go ahead and make the motion to waive the $100 fee for this time. Do we have a second?
I will second it. I'm just concerned doing this once, are we going to open a can of worms? I don't have a problem. I think I've been in his backyard. I see what he looks at and what he's going through.
Yep.
He's willing to put the fence up. He started on it already. I'm just throwing it out there. I was on a zoning board for 7 years, and for 7 years everybody paid $100.
It may very well open a can of worms. It's a valid question.
I got another question to Tim Zuber. I know the planning board's not here, but you sit on that board. Has the planning board started discussing any discussion on this topic?
I brought it up at the last meeting.
Okay, so they haven't had a meeting. Okay.
I do believe the planning board chairman asked to have some numbers put in his budget to look at that. So they're thinking about it.
How long of a time period are we looking at? We don't have to do the extreme of putting a moratorium or anything on, do we? Or I don't know how long do we anticipate this planning process is going to take?
I wish I had an answer for you.
Okay.
I can certainly make sure I took notes earlier when Brenda Board was talking about it, so it's something that I'll bring up with them at their next meeting.
Okay. Which is next Wednesday, right? It's the same night as the Wendellville meeting in Pendleton. Anything further on the question? All in favor of approving the variance, signify by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? That's approved. Anything else, Abe?
I believe that's all.
Is there any purpose for going into executive session? If not, then we'll move along to board member items. Councilman Helwig.
Well, I haven't had one of these in my packet in a while, so I'll do Frontier Volunteer Fire Company as requested. Do we have to approve this? Or
No.
they're just notifying us, they're not asking for approval? Okay. All my other questions were answered, thank you.
Okay. Randy, anything?
Only thing with the agricultural focus group, we lost Carl Heinz, who was our chair for our group, and we are looking for someone, and I talked to Julie briefly yesterday, but we're looking for somebody that has, should I be a little more time to put into it than myself and Julie have. So we're open and looking. If anybody would like to be involved in that group, we are meeting again September 22nd. And we did get the plan out to all the farmers that either farm and live in the area or work ground in the town, I should say, in the town, not the area. So if anybody's interested, let me know, or Julie's in our group, or yeah, right. Okay.
It would certainly be helpful if that person had a background in farming, but it's not absolutely necessary. All of these focus groups are open to anyone who wishes to help volunteer for a short period of time or a long period of time. Carl did pass away. It's unfortunate. He was a very good leader of that group. We now need another.
That's it.
Okay, Gil?
I have some correspondence from Adams Fire Company. They'd like to add Joseph Denali, Ferris Farr, Natalie Goetz, and Nicholas Rainey to their active roster, and remove Adam Mullahan from their active roster. And I'll make that motion.
We need a second.
I'll second.
Randy, second. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved.
I also have correspondence from St. Johnsburg Fire Company. They'd like to add Robert Gajowski as an active member firefighter, and I'll make that motion.
Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? Gajewski? If not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. Is that it, Gil?
That's it.
The only thing I had written down from correspondence was the discussion about the Pendleton compressor, that we need to get more involved with the Pendleton side of things. We've been worried about Wheatfield more, but maybe the Pendleton compressor is important to us just as much. So, Larry, you've agreed to take that responsibility on, and
Well, it makes it more of a Wheatfield issue if they move it closer to Wheatfield.
certainly, yeah. And certainly want to get together with our Pendleton friends as best we can. Our next meeting is September 14th at 7:30 p.m. Kathy reminds me that we do have a bid opening for a truck for the water sewer department that evening, so that'll happen probably right at the beginning of the meeting, maybe just a little before. That's it for this meeting. We're back to public input. Again, it's anybody's opportunity to speak on any subject before the town. Julie?
I just have a quick question. Let me preface this by saying I'm not opposed to exercise. I just wonder, are these actual employees on a contract, or you just pay them? Just for Geo? Yeah, they'll get a one-time fee. All right, so they're not like FICA and all that stuff?
So they get a 1099 at the end of the year instead of W-2.
Okay, just like our basketball stuff. Just the way that they said hire.
Anybody else on any subject? Yes, ma'am.
Just wondered what happened with the Rose Court filling in that drainage that's coming over into Katy
It's on Paul's project list. We hope to get it done this year. We expect to get it done this year, to the point where we can get the water moving for next spring.
But the dispute that we had with the property owners, we have an easement and everything's been settled, we can go, so the only holdup right now is scheduling.
It's a difficult place to get into, and I think Paul wanted to get through his paving season first. Hopefully it'll stay dry for a while and we can get in there. Okay, anybody else? If nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So move. Moved and seconded. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. 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 All, any opposed?